Well, I wanted to just tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today and ask you some of the heroes questions. And the first one I wanted to ask you is, what is your perspective on goodness, ethics, and moral behavior?
Well, I think that in today's society, it's so important to really, I look back at what it was like in my grandparents' era, and a handshake was your bond. And, I think that I'm seeing more and more people nowadays that are kind of yearning for that and kind of living their lives by that example. Unfortunately, we're in such a litigious society that you've got to kind of back it with writing nowadays. But, at the end of the day, it comes down to just being the best person that you can be and just living with integrity and doing the right thing. I mean, there's no real secret to it. There's no magic potion. I mean, you wake up every day and try to do the right thing. And, if something goes wrong, you admit to it and move on and, do what you can to correct it. But I think that generally speaking, people are good and that there's not a lot of people that are just out to do harm or to do bad things, but that sometimes people are pushed in the wrong directions and don't really have the conviction to stand up and admit to things, or to stand up when other people are pushing to go down the wrong path, to stand up and say, well, you know what, no, I disagree and I'm going to stand my ground. But generally speaking, I think people want to be good and want to do the right thing.
You think it's important to surround yourself with people that have the same ethics and moral code that you have?
Without a doubt. It's funny because when I first started in business, in my own, when I said, okay, well, this is the life that I'm going to make for myself, I remember sitting in a seminar room, and there was somebody, it was a free event, and somebody was at the front of the room pitching a $4,000 training, of which I ended up getting involved in, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I sat there, and when I was trying to figure out how I was going to make this happen, because I was just not in a good place at that point, I looked in my phone, and I thought, well, gosh, there's nobody in my phone that's going to help me get to where I want to go. And it's kind of a funny analogy, but if I were to pull that phone out, and, now that I look back, I kind of wish I still had that same phone. But you scroll through and I just use cell phone because everybody's got one, and that's where we keep all of our contacts. And I look at the cell phone that I had back then and the cell phone that I have now, and it's just, I'm much more positive, I'm much more confident, I have more self-esteem, I've got clear directions and focus and energy, and every day I'm just so excited to come in and do what I do. And I've got the most successful people surrounding me. So, if you say, oh, well, it doesn't really matter, you're fooling yourself. And when I started and didn't have those successful people around me, it was real easy to get down. It was real easy to be negative, to quit, to give up. And just to look at other people and say, well, gosh, they're never going to get to where they want to go. So I absolutely believe that it's critical for you to have the right people around you.
Was that one of the lowest points in your life when you looked in your phone and you found people that weren't very positive?
That whole experience is pretty low. When I started initially as a real estate investor, and I'm still very active in that market. And I wanted it so badly. And I had a boyfriend at the time, and we'd spent the holidays over in Spain and had come back, and we're just not at a good spot. I had all my credit cards maxed out, $200 in the bank, and we were living at his sister's house.
Wow.
Yeah. And then sure enough, we were going to come back, get everything together, and we were going to go head off to Europe and live our life in Spain. Well, in less than 2 weeks, we broke up, and I had another 2 weeks to get out of the house.
Oh, no.
And it was pretty tough. Plus, I thought this was the person that I was going to spend my life with, so needless to say, there were days that I didn't want to get out of bed. During this time, I had that training that I told you I went, the free training that sold me into a $4,000 training. Uh-huh. Well, now, to sweeten the pot, I'd now committed to another person that I would pay them back the $4,000 by the end of that month. And I kind of looked at myself in the mirror one day and was like, what are you doing? And there's a few key moments in my life that I can look back at where, as they say, the rubber meets the road, and you just say, well, you know what? Here, it's a decision. And you can't really tell somebody, and you can't, no goal-setting book or anything's going to do it. It's when something faces you and you've got the option to, roll over or to get up and fight. It's what you do in those moments, and those are the decisions that shape your life. And I chose just that. I said, well, I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to prove everybody that says I can't do it wrong, and I'm going to get my confidence back, and I'm going to move forward, and that's what I did.
Wow, that's quite a decision to make. I think that probably it was important at that time to have a dream or a vision that sets the course of your life. What was it?
Believe it or not, it's funny because, I always thought, I want to do this, and I want to make that, and I want to start this company. And I've got all these goals, and on the outside they may look materialistic, which they're not. I really enjoy the teaching part of it, and I want to help people be successful. But traditional goal setting is often about, what's your financial goal in X amount of time? But my real goal, and the whole reason that I got into any of this, is because I think that there's a crisis, and I think that it has to do with both parents working and if you just look at what's happening to children in society and the family unit and all of that. And I was raised very closely by my grandparents and my mom, but my grandparents were kind of the model that I had to look at. And, it was for better or for worse, and the children were what you had to provide certain values and certain ethics and morals for. And seeing a lot of this deteriorate and seeing what was going on in schools and the divorce rate and all of that, at a young age, early 20s, I said, all I really want out of life is to have a good family and to be able to be home with my children. Now, that doesn't mean that I want to be broke and home with my kids and scraping to make ends meet. I want to be successful. I want to be able to teach my children how to be entrepreneurial, how to be successful, and not just financially, but in life. And just the simple things like having dinner at night with the family, everybody sitting around the table without the television off, and having the freedom to take time to be with my family and to do things that you need to do as a family to keep a strong marriage and to keep a strong and to raise strong and healthy children. So believe it or not, that's the big motivation that keeps me going, is that when I settle down and have children, I want to be home and I want to be the mom to raise them.
Oh, that's really a great goal. How important is it to have a positive view of the setbacks and misfortune mistakes that everybody goes through? Because I know you've been through a few. That's kind of a frightening experience of your Spain and your love of your life. How important is it to have a positive view?
Well, you've got to just look always at the big picture. You've always got to look at the goal. And it's funny that you say that, because I was just actually writing something about this. And especially in a couple of my primary businesses, the real estate and the seminar, take real estate, for example. There's so much that goes on with each and every transaction. If you allow yourself to get caught up or hung up in the little details, you won't make it past your first or second transaction. And it's just, keeping the big picture in mind, and even when it gets frustrating, you just kind of say, okay, well, let's put things into perspective. I could be doing this versus this. Okay, well, it's not as bad as it seems right now.
Well, do you think that it takes a lot of courage to pursue new ideas?
I think that depends on where you are in your life. I think that initially it probably does, because there's this fear of, what am I going to do? What if I fail? What if, more importantly than what if I fail, what if I succeed? I think that a lot of people are even more fearful of success than they are of failure, because they're used to not getting what they kind of hope for or dream for. But what happens if they actually achieve it? What happens if they reach that goal? They've got nothing else to dream for, which is crazy, because every time you accomplish something or achieve a goal, you kind of stretch yourself a little bit further. But when you're first starting, it can be very, very scary, and it kind of does take some courage. It's kind of blind faith, and it's kind of saying, okay, well, I'm gonna go out on this and see what I can make happen. And yeah, there's an element to courage. Once you do, and it's like a muscle that you exercise. I mean, now I have no problem. I love to come up with new ideas and test them and start them up and see where they take me, and realize that not everything is going to be a home run, but that part of the challenge and part of the fun is the actual experience and what you learn along the way.
So in exercising your dream and muscles, as in anything, to make muscles grow, there's a certain amount of pain. Do you think that's the same with building your dream muscles, going through a certain amount of discomfort to pursue your dream?
Certainly, and it's funny because I recently was working on a project that was a larger project than I've ever done before, and I said, my goodness, this is just like the first time I ever bought a property or did my first deal, or, you know, it was just like starting over because it was so big compared to what I'm doing now. In the scheme of things, it's not that big, but it was a big step from where I am now, and, you know, you've got to be uncomfortable to push yourself. You've got to have a little bit of uncertainty. You've got to realize that if all the answers, if everyone had all the answers, nobody would be, you know, there wouldn't be anywhere to go. You know, there wouldn't be anything to fight for. There wouldn't be anything to learn. So if you're not uncomfortable and if you're not stressed and you're not struggling from time to time, then you're really not moving forward. And one of my best friends, we were having a drink when he came back into town, and he says, you know, and it bothered me at first when he said it to me, and it wasn't until probably a couple months ago, and he said this to me years ago. He says, you know, Heather, you're never going to be satisfied with being comfortable. And I thought, well, gosh, you're a jerk. What is that supposed to mean? You know, I took it, and this was back while I was learning to be positive, I took that as a negative. I took that as he was putting me down because and saying, well, you just can't be content with anything. But when I thought about this statement, and it stuck with me for years, and I thought about it recently, and I said to myself, you know what? That was really a good thing, because even back then, I took it as a negative, but even back then, it was, I'm not content with just what you know, just being average or just what I've got. And that's different than saying, you know, I'm not happy with what I've got, but there's always more that you can do. There's more people that you can help. There's bigger impact that you can make. So once you just become satisfied with what you have and don't confuse that with being happy with what you have and wanting what you have, but you've always got to have a next picture to go to and a bigger dream to step up to.
Do you believe that it's important to constantly change your dreams as your life experience achieves the goals that you set?
Yes. I mean, I'm not the same person that I was 5 years ago. So my dreams are going to change. The people that I'm involved with are going to change. Things happen in your life and in your business daily, weekly, monthly, I mean, all the time. And there's opportunities that you're presented with that you didn't even know existed a couple weeks or months or years ago. So the key is to be open to things and to be open to change and to be open to expanding your vision and not so much changing it, because then you're kind of just jumping on every bandwagon that comes through the door. Well, this week I want to be this person. This week I want to be that person. But if you've got that core desire or that core thing that's keeping you focused and everything is funneling to that, like when I said the whole big picture is so that I can have this life with a family, well, if everything leads to that, then yes, keep growing and changing and shifting. And here's an example. I was sitting in a hotel room about a year ago, just under a year ago, and I was speaking at events, at real estate events, and I was told that I was going to have some challenges to overcome because I'm not super young, but, you know, in the real estate world, I'm fairly young compared to a lot of the people that have been in the business for years and years and years. I mean, I had people say, I've been rehabbing houses longer than you've been alive. What are you going to teach me, kind of thing. So I had to get over that. But I was sitting in this hotel room, and I just started to cry. I said, what are you doing? I was miserable. I love to travel for fun, but this vision of what it's like to travel for business and be on the road and away from your business and away from your family 3 and 4 and 5 days a week wasn't this picture I had painted. And I thought to myself, it's going to take you 3 to 4 years to be able to have the credibility to command what you want to do in front of these audiences. And that's just a fact. I mean, you can overcome the obstacles and so on and so forth, but there's some things that only time is going to really affect. So I can't say, oh, well, I've been investing in real estate for 20 years. You know, at the time I was 29. So, you know, it's just there's things that you can't change, and only time's going to affect that. So I thought, well, in 3 to 5 years, that's when I'm going to want to sit down, or settle down rather, and have this family. So why on earth would I keep working towards this and then be forced to make a decision in a couple of years down the line? Why even put that decision in front of me? And some people might say, well, you're taking away an opportunity. But it's not really an opportunity if the whole purpose for being here and doing what I'm doing is to be able to be home with a family. Why would I ever want to choose traveling for business over family or vice versa? So I basically, that day I came home and I said, I'm going to be much more selective, and I'm not going to be on the road 2 and 3 weeks a month. And I pretty much walked away from that. So, yes, keep dreaming and keep allowing things to change, but also keep recognizing why you're doing this and make sure that what you're doing is in line with what your core dream is. Does that make sense?
Sure it does. It absolutely does. And I think probably the biggest problem that most people have is just overcoming their doubts and fears. We have those dreams that we want to attain, and then sometimes events that we have no control over actually happen in our lives, and then the doubts and fears show up and they try to destroy our dreams. How did you overcome your doubts and fears?
I just plugged through it straight. As honest as I can be, it was, I doubted things and I was fearful of things, and when I still have the house that I got right after. I basically ended up using some creative negotiation and my mom's credit and so forth, and that whole situation where I had to move out of that property, I ended up finding, it's a gorgeous home and I love it. It's a, cute little home. But the problem is because I had used my mom's credit to help me acquire it. There was like this fear of God over me that if I was late on my mortgage payment, she'd come down and kill me.
Wow.
So I didn't really have an option but to get up and plug away every day, whether or not things looked like they were going up or down. I didn't have time, or I couldn't backpedal. I couldn't say, okay, well, let me try something new now. It was, okay, just be consistent and be persistent, and everything will work itself out. And then the other thing was that I had to learn to let go of my control issues, and I'm still very much a perfectionist and like to be in control, but I had to get over that, okay, let me think, how am I going to make an extra $125 because I have to pay this, and I'd overwhelm myself with all of it. But sure enough, each and every month, it worked out. I mean, I wasn't living a great life, I was just scraping to get by, but the bills that had to get paid were paid. And that's all that really mattered at that time. It was just pay it and eventually, get what you have to get done, done. Make sure that those things are met and just keep plugging along, and everything's going to work out. It's going to grow. It's going to grow gradual. You're going to learn more. You're going to experience more. You're going to be exposed to more. And that's what it was. So finally I stopped worrying about it and just said, okay, well, something's going to happen each and every month because I'm doing the right thing. And this goes back to your initial question about morals and ethics and integrity and that kind of way of life. If you're living your life that way, you're going to be taken care of, and it's all going to work out for you.
Well, was it your mom that gave you the willpower to change things in your life? I guess sort of fear that you were going to miss the mortgage payment. Was there anybody else that gave you willpower to change things in your life?
My grandparents were a huge factor when I was growing up. My mom had me very young, and it was a really interesting mix, and I wouldn't change it. So she basically raised me as a single mom, but with my grandparents. And since she had me young, I kind of had this wild, free kind of spirit. Yet I also had a very conservative, very respectful. My parents, my grandparents went to church 6 nights a week. They, raised 5 children, and were just very conservative. They were also entrepreneurs and business owners, though, and so I got kind of both sides of the equation there as far as personality. And between all of them, they were all very entrepreneurial. My mom had a real job for a handful of years, but there was always something on the side. She was always doing a network marketing business or a side job or something like that. And my grandparents were always on their own and always, working on this next project and this next adventure. So this kind of idea of going to corporate America or just getting a job like that just wasn't ever in the cards. It wasn't anything that even computed to me. So it was kind of, you have to make it work, and that's pretty much what I knew growing up. Despite the fact that, college was not an option and things like that, it was, sure. You're going to college and, there is no let me think about it thing, but more than that for the discipline and so forth. But at the end of it all, I was surrounded by people that dreamed and had vision and just expected things to happen.
Are there any other heroes in your life other than your grandparents and your mom?
There's the definition of a hero is just, it's hard to say is there any one hero or are there a handful of heroes, because I really think, and not to sound cliche, but everybody in their own right is a hero to somebody. So, I look at my neighbors and I just adore their daughters. And, you see the way they look at their parents, and it's like, just what they've been able to do and obstacles that they've been able to overcome. They were both foreigners from Europe and came over here and have made their lives very successful. And I think that everybody is a hero to somebody and in their own way. And, I'm very fortunate because pretty much all the people that I surround myself with, I look up to, and they've just done phenomenal things. So it would be hard to just pinpoint one or two people, because I'm really, really fortunate in that everybody's out with the same goals and the same level of integrity and just trying to help other people and just good hearts.
Boy, that's great. Well, why are heroes so important in the lives of young people?
Well, that also goes back to what I was saying a bit ago about just this. I feel like we have this crisis here with the education, with the morals, with everything, with children, because who's raising the kids now? In many cases, it's underpaid teachers that are restricted because of all the lawsuits, and it's really tough. And then if you've got parents that haven't made the best decisions, well, there's really no role models for kids. So they need to have people that they can look up to. They need to have people that they can say, okay, I identify with that person, or I want to be like that person. And then, that person needs to be able to reciprocate back and provide. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do, we have a homeless shelter here for women and children. And to be able to set up a program and probably independent of that, because sometimes there's so much red tape and politics that go along with institutional type charities. But to be able to set up something where you bring parents and children, the moms and the kids in and have a seminar for the moms and say, look, here's the thing. You don't have to be a victim here, and everybody has their challenges, and look, here are some of the skills to overcome this. And at the same time, have the kids in another room and teach the kids to dream, teach the kids that there's things out there, that there's opportunities for them, and that they're not going to be stuck with anything, that they've got so much to look forward to. And the things that I saw as a child were crazy. I mean, my brother's dad was a not a very good person. I mean, he was involved in drugs and things like that. And by statistics, I could have absolutely been on the streets and used that as an excuse. So I don't take a lot of excuses from people, because you absolutely have the power to change that. But I think that kids need to have those role models that are there to show them, hey, you're not stuck with this. You can do something with your life.
Who do you think are the heroes today that are not getting the recognition they deserve?
Well, I'm sure that many of your people have said this, but I think that teachers are huge, because they're out there every day, and I've taught some preschool in a past life, and just some of the things that they have to handle because parents aren't parenting properly, or are not giving the kids the love and the affection that they need. So I think we know that there's a crisis with the education system, but I really do think that teachers need to be more recognized, without a doubt. And then as far as other people, you look at one of my partners with Next Level, Robin. I think that his dedication and commitment, if you talk about people that aren't recognized enough, he is, absolutely dedicated to the Boys and Girls Club, and just, out there doing so much, giving so much time and money and effort to help them. And the people that are doing that nobody ever even, knows exist, I think that they need to be recognized.
Well, I'm going to recognize Robin. He's one of the heroes interviews that we have coming up. How will being recognized as an Internet hero change your life?
It's funny because I don't even consider myself as an Internet hero. I think that just being able to, the more recognized you are and the more people that know you, of course there's more scrutiny and there's more, people, there just as many people that want to say, hey, let's help. There's other people that have that jealousy, that don't have that positive outlook, that don't have the right mindset, that just are out there to kind of not put people down, but find things that are wrong with people. But just the fact that you're recognized gives you the power to be able to go out and make changes, gives you the ability to help people.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I have learned is that you've really got to build a thick skin. I thought I had to have a thick skin in the real estate business, but in the information marketing world and in the Internet world, you've really got to grow a thick skin because there are a lot of people that are jealous when you achieve what they want to achieve.
Oh, that's so true, isn't it?
No, yeah.
Well, I know that you're doing a lot in helping out with the shelters to make the world a better place. Do you have any good solutions to the problems facing society today, especially racism, child and spousal abuse, and violence among young people?
Well, I think that, unfortunately, it all comes down to education. There's no magic pill. It's just we've got to start educating, and we've got to start educating at an early age. One of the things that I've always wanted to do, and I didn't realize that 12 acres wasn't that much when I first had the idea, but my mom has 12 acres of land up in Maine. One of the things that I wanted to do is kind of have this international summer camp where kids came for 2, 3, 4 weeks from all over the world and started to break down, or not even break down, but started to just teach them at such an early age that, you had a friend at summer camp that was Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or what have you, and not that religion is the only thing, but, that you had people from all walks of life, from all cultures, from all ethnic and financial backgrounds. So then when it's time to go to war and it's 20 years later, they're thinking back to, well, wait a minute, I had so-and-so in summer camp. I don't want to, there's nothing wrong with them. They just think differently and they live differently, but I don't want to go fight them. But I think that the real solution is to provide the education and to really, just like we've talked here about building a dream and having this conviction and having it so ingrained that that's how you live your life, the same thing needs to happen with the kids. They've got to learn and learn it through and through that people are people. and I really think that that's the only way that we can make a significant change long term.
Well, what do you think about the In Search of Heroes program and its impact on youth, parents, and business people?
I think that it's phenomenal because it gives people, there's a lot of different people that have a lot of different experiences, and I know a number of them personally, and they're good friends of mine, and they've all got things to contribute. And just one piece of advice or just, a word from one person can make a huge impact and stick with you. I mean, I just mentioned briefly about this comment that my friend had told me years ago, and that one statement stuck with me for years. So you've got some just absolute incredible people from just all walks of life, different backgrounds, different goals, and I think that it's just a phenomenal program because it's bringing all these different things to people all over.
Yeah, it is amazing some of the answers that the heroes that I've interviewed have had. And just some of the nuggets of gold that they've presented to the world are incredible. I know that I've been changed just by the brilliance of some of those gleaming gems that they presented in the heroes' interviews, and you had no idea that they're just going to pop right out of their mouths. And I know that they're very grateful to not have to be asked questions about internet marketing or a product conversion. They just really enjoyed the opportunity to just have a say about things that are really important, just like you.
Mm-hmm. And knowing the people that you've interviewed, it's, you know, I can absolutely imagine some of the things that came out of people's mouths and just how much fun and how interesting that can be.
It was interesting, yes. It was incredibly interesting. Well, Heather, what are the things that parents can do that will help their children realize that they too can be heroes and make a positive impact on the lives of others?
Well, first off, shut the TV off. And I know that, you know, sounds kind of silly, but when I grew up, I didn't, you know, I got to watch a little bit of TV, but it was, you know, I went outside, I played with the neighbors, I did my homework, I had a healthy dinner, and, you know, then I could watch maybe an hour of television. Mm-hmm. But it was also much more regulated as to what I would watch. So I'd say definitely shut the television off. We see this world of seminars and this world of information overload and teleconferences and all these things. Well, start involving your children in some of that. Start bringing them around these positive people. If the kids are 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 and 15 years old and they're around positive, like-minded people that have a direction and a purpose, then that's what they're going to absorb, and those are the values and the morals that these kids are going to absorb. So, you know, you've got to take them, and it's uncomfortable, and I'm sure it's difficult for a lot of people, especially initially, but take these kids out of the comfort zone of PlayStation and Xbox and take them to events where they can really become better people, or, you know, let them listen to things that are going to really help them. Put tapes and CDs in the car for them to listen to when you're driving instead of whatever's on the radio that day.
Boy, that's great advice. I guess you really had a tremendous benefit from being raised by entrepreneurs, since your mom and your grandma and grandpa, you know, they instilled that in you at an early age. And, you know, it's funny, after doing so many interviews, most of the heroes that I've recognized believe it's the entrepreneurs that are the true heroes of any society.
Absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, Heather. Thank you so much. And I just really appreciate your perspective and how valuable that information is.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor to be among such company that you have put together with this program.
Well, thanks again, Heather. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Okay, thanks.